Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni. Good morning.
Good morning, Ruben.
Good morning,
Good morning,
Ayo.
Ayo.
Morning.
Good morning, Mr. K. Kayode Akintemi.
Good morning, my brother. The parts that I love, he has not even done. Great Malabai.
The man with the silver lining on his hair. Now, I started the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. I start with the window story. Buhari recounts achievements in oil gas sector. List PIA as biggest accomplishment. Discloses 200 billion Naira, $7 million raked in from sale of marginal field. Says $2.8 billion Abuja Kaduna Kanu pipeline, 43% completed. Yes, in the manner of thumping your chest like the lizard will nod his head. The Buhari administration is recalling and recounting its achievement in the oil and gas sector. And of course, yesterday at that outing where President Muhammadu Buhari was represented by Boss Mustafa, the secretary to the government of the Federation. Of course, they mentioned achievement, a long list as in the manner of listing, the issue of funding and incentivizing the oil sector, which according to the president exiting the government joint venture and cash core funding, which freed up his administration from funding the oil sector. And of course, the PIA, the biggest of the Buhari administration's achievement after many years of back and forth, all kinds of interest, holding back the passing on of the PIB, as it was then known. Yes, under President Muhammadu Buhari, that bill was passed, and we now have a Petroleum Industry Act. And of course, the result of that is that the NNPC has now become a different company from what it used to be, a government corporation. And of course, new regulators brought into the oil and gas sector. But it doesn't matter that our NNPC is not Aramco, like the Aramco of Saudi Arabia. And it doesn't matter that this NNPC cannot refine fuel for Nigerians. Rather, it still imports petroleum products from outside the country, just doing barter, sending in crude, out crude, and bringing in refined products. Of course, the president also talked about the $5 billion LNG Train 7 project and what that will mean. It will raise, increase the NLNG terminal production capacity by 35%. Of course, a number of other issues listed there as the achievement of the President Muhammadu Buhari in the oil and gas sector. Now, the lead story, INEC suspends Adamawa REC as Binani seeks judicial review of her announcement. Yes, PDP gives Commission 72 hours to conclude rerun poll. Harry, yes, that's Udu Yunusa Harry, the now famous REC, Resident Election Commissioner of Adamawa State. Harry playing Yakubu's script, Atiku's aide alleges. Parties, Governors Forum commend electoral body for nullifying attempted coup. Demands weeding out of partisan corrupt INEC officials. Of course, other newspapers are also reporting this story. The Vanguard newspaper, INEC bars suspended REC to announce results Thursday. Stop this Adamawa show of shame, PDP governors tell INEC. While the Daily Trust newspaper reporting this story, Adamawa PDP supporters protest, give INEC 72 hours ultimatum. The Nigerian Tribune, more knocks for Adamawa REC as Binani goes to court. INEC suspends him. Now, Binani has gone to court to obtain, she wants to get an ex parte order to buy INEC from tampering with the results already announced. This must be very funny. Result without figures. What is the score of Binani? What is the score of Fintiri? And yet, it's being called a result. But of course, the lawyers have dealt with this matter earlier in the day. A new law for electoral process. And we just hope that INEC at the national level can save face and wriggle out of this mess so that democracy in Nigeria will not become a laughing stock in the eyes of civilized nations. Now, if we just go to the Guardian newspaper, 40% of failed transactions unresolved as e-payments hit 49.4 trillion naira. Yes, e-payment, go cashless, but there are bottlenecks. If you go to the banks today, 60% of those in the banking halls are there to resolve one e-payment failure or the other. Now, a lot of these, 40% of these failed transactions remain unresolved. So when banks, tier 1, tier 2, and even the smaller banks compute their profits and know that your money on unresolved transactions is part of their profits. Now, the Punch newspaper, fuel subsidy, federal government begins 40% pay rise for workers, April ending. Government will settle January to March arrears later, says Labour Ministry. Increased transport, housing allowances, also TUC tell federal government. Yes, the federal government preparing for the removal of fuel subsidy. Daily Sun newspaper, aviation strike, passengers stranded, airlines suffer losses. Federal government begs the union to call off strike. Day 2 of the aviation workers' strike. And of course, passengers suffering, airlines counting their losses, as it were. We hope the issues there will be resolved. Now, New Telegraph newspaper, Nigerians' revenue threatened as Exxon unit declare force majeure. One foreign newspaper quickly, now the Times of London, UK security chiefs alert over threat from China. Beijing wants supremacy, not parity in tech race. Yes, the West faces an epoch-defining challenge from China that must be addressed. And before it becomes the world's leading technological country, that is the headache in the West. Of course, there are other headaches from China becoming a superpower militarily. Of course, an economic superpower already. A lot to chew from the West. Ruben, Rufai, and Kayode Akintemi, over to you. If there is time.
You are saying Rufai as an apparition because you mentioned Rufai.
Oh, sorry.
When it is Ayo that is here. Mr. Keba.
Okay, I spoke with Rufai last night, so maybe that's why.
We don't seem to have more time. We'd just like to thank you very much indeed.